Hey everyone, Nicholas Falato here, half of the Big Blue Banter New York Giants podcast, to do a quick video review of a potential Giants selection named Rashawn Slater, the offensive tackle, offensive lineman. He can play guard probably out of the University of Northwestern. And honestly, we're less than a week away from the NFL draft right now, and I'm not really entirely confident the Giants will be looking to add an offensive lineman at pick 11 with their edge room in its current state and the fact that both those blue chip wide receivers from Alabama may be available in Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith. But one can hope, because this offensive line is going to be an issue if they do not progress like a lot of us as Giants fans and people who cover the team hope. I mean, last year the Giants, according to Pro Football Focus, ranked 31st in effectiveness. They released their most consistent offensive lineman before free agency in Kevin Zeitler. They're relying on 2 second-year tackles, a second-year guard, a former 34th overall selection that vastly underperformed since his rookie season in Will Hernandez, and an undrafted tackle who converted to center last year in Nick Gates. And I love the fact they brought in this highly regarded teaching type of coach like Rob Sale, and they brought back guys like Pat Flaherty to help along the offensive line. But if this Giants offense is going to fail, it's going to be up front with the uncertainty along this offensive line. That is, of course, if Daniel Jones falls on his face, that's something else that's going to happen. But something that could lead to Daniel Jones falling on his face is a lack of effectiveness along the offensive line. They added these shiny weapons, Kenny Golladay, Kyle Rudolph, John Ross. You get a healthy Saquon Barkley back, hopefully. But if the blocking suffers, this already questionable Jason Garrett offense will suffer as well. Best case scenario with the offensive line is trajectory is linear, and all these players progress from 2020. Worst case scenario, Daniel Jones is running for his life for the third year in a row, and next offseason, you're conflicted on whether or not to pick up his fifth-year option. And I get it, and you're going to hear trains in the background. That's just the way it is. And I get it, man. You may be thinking, well, a rookie offensive lineman, how is that going to help? It's just adding an inexperienced person from college into the pro game. Well, if that rookie offensive lineman is Rashawn Slater, who hasn't played since 2019, it's going to certainly help with just breeding a competitive atmosphere. And that's something that Joe Judge and this Giants team have embodied and discussed at length. And I really do believe the cream can kind of rise to the top. And I believe Slater would easily be one of those if he is kicked inside, which is what we hope, because I don't believe this would be a referendum on Matt Parrott whatsoever. Parrott was the 99th pick last year. He would still get a crack at that starting right tackle spot, and Slater and his 33-inch arms, they can kick inside to guard, and his ceiling would be sky high there. And then Will Hernandez and Shane Lemieux can battle it out for the other starting guard spot, along with Zach Fulton, but he would probably not make the team if the Giants do invest heavily in the offensive line position, specifically the interior offensive line. Like I said, Slater opted out of that 2020 season because of COVID-19, but he has the luxury of just pointing at week 8 of 2019 and saying, remember that Chase Young guy? Yeah, I hardly do, because that was just another day at the office for Slater. He played exceptionally well against a player who was one of the top edge rushers in the NFL, let alone in college football. I mean, Slater just combines unique foot speed and movement skills with precise hand placement, excellent understanding of timing, when to strike, when not to strike, when to be patient, when to attack, while also employing very good angles on all types of block. If you need him to reach, he has the athletic ability to get to his 6 techniques: outside shoulder, turn, and seal. You want him to scoop, he can flip his hips inside on a 3 technique, and he has that core strength to kind of turn and seal. He moves bodies well as a down blocker. I wouldn't say he has elite level strength, but it's functionally sound. And he's just a technically savvy football player in the trenches. Let's dive into some of his tape. No better place to start than here in 2019 Week 8 against Chase Young. As you probably collected, number 70 is Rashawn Slater. A lot of these clips will have him circled with the red circle. He's going up against Chase Young, opposite of him, outside of his outside shoulder. Now let's watch what happens. We have a man in motion right here. Slater comes off, gets initial depth out of his set, goes to engage. Chase Young, watch how Chase Young fires his feet a little bit at the line of scrimmage, tries to keep Rashawn Slater guessing a little bit, and then tries to go for that outside arm of Rashawn Slater. To Rashawn Slater's credit, it just splits the half man right here. Splits Chase Young. Gets that hand right down the middle, keeps him square, and just kind of cuts him in half. And Chase Young, from this position, can't really dictate the rep unless he breaks the wrist of that outside arm, which you could see him try to do with his own outside arm. You see him go right after that elbow, right after that wrist on the outside arm. But the grip strength of Rashawn Slater is absolutely ridiculous. He just withstands that, and Chase Young tries to go for a rip with that inside arm if you look. He subtly tries to do it, just can't get the leverage to do so, cannot get past that just firm outside arm of Rashawn Slater, and then it just crumbles after that because he cannot rip from there. This is an excellent rep from Rashawn Slater, and when you look at him, look at what he strikes. He strikes right down the middle. Look at his bend in his lower half. His feet aren't overly close together. He has the angular build that you're looking for in an offensive lineman. He's balanced. His hat is lower as well. Chase Young cannot dictate this rep at all, and he can't win this. Tries to get to the half man and then just gets put to the ground, and credit to Rashawn Slater to just fall on top of him and not allow him to do anything. Just lay him on the deck. This is a phenomenal rep, probably his best rep against Chase Young. And now the next video, it's another play against Chase Young. You can see it. And if you watch, look at that footwork by Rashawn Slater. Smooth. That is so smooth in this vertical set up the arc. His feet just glide. His drive foot glides. That post foot just gains depth. Chase Young gets into his chest, actually ends up getting into his chest, but Slater is able to handle those counter moves and just close that angle off and ride him up the pass rushing arc. See how Slater is being patient. Okay, yeah, you're going to try to swat my arms away. It doesn't matter. I'm going to mirror you, Chase Young. I'm not going to allow you to gain any sort of edge. If you try to win this half-man relationship, you're going to lose because I am so good at framing my blocks that I will not allow you to win. Just another phenomenal rep against Chase Young right here. And I know this thing is kind of blocking it, the goalpost a little bit, but you can see how Chase Young attempts to go for a violent chop of the outside arm and then a dip rip around the edge. He even employs his own outside arm to try to knock Slater's outside arm down. But none of it works because Slater's positioning, his balance, and his overall athletic ability will not allow Chase Young to win that rep. Now we have someone who's not Chase Young right here. And this is a pass rusher from, I believe it's Stanford, 2019. We see Rashawn Slater over there on the left side. Again, look at him drive off that inside foot, gain initial depth, frames the block really well, looks for any sort of creepers or anybody who's going to be possibly coming in on a blitz. Doesn't see that because he knows he has slide protection help with his guard right there, but it doesn't even matter because Slater just effortlessly catches this edge who attempts to hit him with an outside spin. And you can even watch, look at Slater's eyes. Slater's eyes are looking to see what's going on this side of the field, to see if there's any creepers, to see if there's any blitzers. And he still handles this edge rusher with that inside arm and then just plants him on the ground, leaves him there, and it just was not a good rush for number 90 of the Stanford Cardinal. And then we have this play right here. It starts a little quickly. And this is just a quick jump set by Rashawn Slater against number 9 of the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And watch how Slater controls this rep. He quickly gets out to him, limits the space, wants to initiate contact and not allow a lot of space with number 9. But you can see how number 9 kind of makes inside contact first with his inside arm. You see him get on Slater's breastplate right there. Now Slater is coming up with his power here. This is a common technique that Joe Thomas used a lot, which is a technique where you use both your hands to get inside and underneath pass rushers, and then you lift their center of gravity up. Lane Johnson also uses this technique a ton, and it's excellent for tackles who have shorter arms because they can't always dictate the rep because their arms aren't as long, and a lot of these edge rushers have 34-inch arms, 34 plus inches, so they have a natural advantage. But if you can still give up that initial contact, get your hands underneath where they're trying to grab you in their breastplate and then lift their center of gravity with your strength, uncoil your hips through the block, then you can still dictate the rep. And that's kind of what happens here. Number 9 gets that hand inside. Slater comes up, gets a hold of number 9's shoulder pads a little bit, but still on the inside to where it's not really holding. And then he just pulls him close to himself. Look, he limits that space, takes the cloth that he can grab without being flagged, pulls it close to his face, almost in a manner of like, smell my damn breath. Look, smell my breath. Tell me if I have halitosis. My hips are uncoiled and my anchor is engaged and I have the posterior strength to hold up at the point of attack against you. So it doesn't really matter what you're going to do, number 9. And that's exactly what happened. Now, the play doesn't work out because number 11 absolutely obliterates the Northwestern quarterback here. But Slater, out there on an island, did his job. Let's move on to the next play. This rep's funny because this edge rusher, I feel like he had no clue what he was in for right here against Rashawn Slater, who gets into his set so darn quickly. It's just an easy 45-degree set and just waits patiently for this edge rusher to commit. And you could see the edge rusher thinks about going inside, and then Slater's already in excellent position because of just how smooth and effortless it is for him to get into good position to execute a lot of his blocks. And right here, he just gets to the point so quickly. I just feel like this pass rusher knew he was screwed. He tried to go for some sort of bull rushing attempt. I'm really not sure. And Slater, I mean, it just looks effortless what he ends up doing. It's like an easy snatch trap type of play right here where he just, grabs the shoulder pads of this edge rusher and just tosses him to the ground. And the poor guy just gets obliterated by the guard playing right next to Rashawn Slater. But this is one of those plays where it's just like, wow, this guy is not in the same ballpark or stratosphere as a player like Rashawn Slater. And then nice touchdown pass from Northwestern, which is always good. Now we see him again, left side of your screen, going up against the Stanford Cardinal. And right here, excellent use of hands, excellent adjustment. This guy's wide of him. Now watch how he covers the ground. Look at those feet. Look at the command, the determination in those feet. Watch how that inside foot just glides as that outside foot gets into position. Frames that block. Hips aren't committed. He's square to the blocker. It's great stuff right here. Then he makes contact with that outside arm. The pass rusher tries to chop it aggressively with his own outside arm to get to the edge. Then Rashawn Slater just uses his inside arm to fend everything off, gain inside leverage, and just hold the player in place. Credit to the edge rusher for trying to get around, but he doesn't have the foot speed, the athletic ability, the bend, or the power to get through the intense grip strength of someone like Rashawn Slater. And that's one of my favorite things about this player. He has 33-inch arms, yes, but he also has large hands. I want to say his hands are in like the 87th percentile. They're 10 plus inches, and that's what you want in an offensive lineman. You don't want somebody who has like 9-inch hands out there trying to block. You want somebody with like 10 and a half, 11-inch hands, like Tyron Smith type hands, which is like 11-inch hands. Absolutely ridiculous. Then you could just grab cloth and good luck breaking the grasp of a player like that. And you could see some of that right here with Rashawn Slater. Right here we got a play against Zach Bond. He was a Big Blue Banter favorite. I still feel like he's a talented player. He's in New Orleans right now, kind of buried on their depth chart. They have a lot of edge rushers down there, but he has a lot of good Big Ten tape. And here we see Slater get out and wait. Bond flashes that outside spin move, and he actually gains an edge on Rashawn Slater here. But if you watch how Slater's in recovery here, it's like, yeah, okay. Initially, Zach Bond wins this rep. He gets Rashawn Slater's hips totally flipped. You never want to see an offensive tackle's hips facing the end zone. The opposite side end zone, not the end zone you're trying to score in. That's not what you want to see. But to Rashawn Slater's credit, he adjusts that outside hand when the spin happens, gets his hips turned, showing the fluidity there, and then he puts that inside hand on the small of Zach Bond's back, reestablishes the outside arm on the shoulder pad, and just glides him out of the pocket, allows the quarterback to step up and around. It's a good recovery here. Definitely solid hand usage at the end of the rep. I wouldn't say he framed his block overly well here. He knew he was on an island because of the defensive alignment. You have right here a 2-eye tech right here. So this guard is more than likely going to be occupied. Rashawn Slater knows he has a wide alignment from a talented speed rusher. And that speed rusher hits him with an outside spin move. Slater has enough athletic ability to recover. But good rep by both. Slater gives up a little bit in the beginning, but combats it well at the end to ensure that it's not a disaster for his quarterback. All right, here we see another play against the Stanford Cardinal here. You can see how he just gets up the pass rushing arc here. Smooth again, attacks well. Good timing, patient, not lunging. See? Still, you can see angular build, low center of gravity, core engaged. Punches with that long arm to try to make contact here. Gets that arm inside. The edge rusher tries to rip. Because you get the mirroring ability of someone like a Rashawn Slater. You're not going to be able to just rip through someone like that. Especially not these, you could say, average college type of pass rushers. It's just not something that's going to happen. The patience, the attack, the grip strength, everything right here. Along with the exceptional movement ability of a player like Rashawn Slater. And here we just see the urgency that Rashawn Slater has in his feet in this really impressive vertical set where he covers the ground, cuts the angle off of the edge rusher. He's got them hands wide, ready to clasp. So look at those feet. Look how they glide. People over 300 pounds aren't supposed to do that. And usually when they do, they have some sort of other huge technical flaw, like they lunge. Their hips are committed way too early. They give up easy inside rush lanes, set themselves up for counters, but not Rashawn Slater. And again, he's not making the initial contact there. Look, number 10, one arm is longer than two arms. I'm sure people have heard that before. And he can angle his body to make and stab that inside arm onto Rashawn Slater's breastplate to try to dictate the beginning of the rep. But watch how Slater comes underneath that with his own inside arm, while using his outside arm to not allow number 10 to get up to that half-man relationship and corner towards the quarterback. He's not going to allow that to happen. He's way too athletic for that, and he's way too smart and savvy for that. Instead, cuts off that angle, has a nice wide base, just shuffles along with the edge rusher. But the sense of urgency he has in his feet to get to this depth from a wide 9 angle rusher, if you want to call it that, cut that angle off completely. And those movement skills, man. Love those movement skills. It's beautiful to see. Love to see that on the New York Giants. But let's move on here. Some more of a run blocking type of stuff now we're going to move into. And right here, you see number 70. He's going up against number 9 of the Minnesota Golden Gophers again. I believe that's the Golden Gophers. And just watch how he frames this block. Watch how he sets it up into the point of contact here. We've got this 7 technique right here. So you have the tight end off here. He's right inside of that. Inside the tight end, the offensive tackle. And you could say right here, Rashawn Slater doesn't win this with inside hand placement. Number 9 comes right up, gets his hands inside. And Rashawn Slater is tonging a little bit here, which is not a desirable thing. But you can see how he frames this block, uncoils strength through his hips, and then drives through the block while moving his feet and engaging his lower body and core strength. Watch how he does that here. He explodes low to high, like we were talking about before. Okay, yes, you didn't dictate the rep by getting your hands inside, but you were able to get your hands underneath and then rise the center of gravity. Look how he's rising the center of gravity of number 9 right there. He's displacing him off the line of scrimmage. He's creating paths for his running back. That's what you need from a run blocker there. Sure, sometimes you're not going to get your hands inside. You're not going to dictate the rep, but can you find ways around that? Can you find different paths to defeating your opponent? Because there's always adjustments and there's always counters from every second that's on the football field, from defenders and offensive players. And he gets it here and he drives through. Watch how he just keeps those legs churning. Love to see that. You love to see how he just rises that center of gravity, dictates this rep, although that he did not get himself that inside hand placement to control the chest right off the snap. Right here, he's going up against number 9 again. This is a similar type of play. Now, number 9 is in more of a 5 technique spot. He's not wide of him in that 7 tech spot. So Slater just fires off the ball, and again, number 9 gets his hands inside. But Slater knows he can win with strength right here. He somewhat grabs something you don't like. You don't like the hugging type of nature there. That's called tonging. Kind of like when you're in a hotel and you have those crappy trays of ice that they give you when you use those little metal tongs to get the ice and put it in your mixed drink. That's kind of what he's doing here. But guess what? Gets his face right into the face mask right there, almost like they're kissing. Uncoils those hips, drives through, finishes aggressively. Love to see that. It's not the picture-perfect type of technique, but you love to see the dog mentality there. You don't want an offensive lineman who's not a dog. Rashawn Slater got some dog in him. Everybody loves talking about Tevin Jenkins as a dog. Rashawn Slater also has dog in him, and that's very, very important. Here we see him against Ohio State. I think this is a great rep right here. You got this little stretch zone a little bit. All step and play side. Got the split action from their H-back. And Rashawn Slater shows good bend here. Watch. He bends low, gets those hands underneath number 18's pads, right? Lifts up. Number 18's trying to set the edge and turns. I love to see that bend. Can these offensive linemen bend? That's what you're looking for. It's not natural for an athlete, somebody who's 6'3 plus, 6'4 plus, to have this unique type of bend and flexibility in their ankles and in their knees. But Rashawn Slater has it here, and he has the movement ability. And right here, he shows good functional strength. He shows an ability to get his hands inside, fit his hands, turn, control, dictate the point of attack. That's exactly what you want to see. Now, I love this play here, too. Right here, Rashawn Slater to the left side literally blocks 3 different guys on this play. And the play doesn't go for a huge gain or anything like that. But watch, right off the line of scrimmage. He has a 5 technique over him. He also has this 3 technique inside of him. Steps play side, stabs with his outside arm right here. Or his inside arm, I should say. I'm sorry. To hold this guy in place so the guard can kind of get to him and reach him. Then he feels the flowing second level defenders, gets in that defender's way, and then locates the second level defender over there. Because this 3 technique scrapes over the top of the 5 technique, reads the play, tries to get outside. Rashawn Slater gets in all 3 of these guys' ways and blocks all 3 of them effectively on this field side run out of the shotgun formation. 1, 2, 3. And then the corner ends up making the tackle, and the running back can't get away from those pursuit defenders that Slater blocked a little bit prior. Still a very impressive play. I see another rep right here against Zach Bond. But he's over the top of Zach Bond. Doesn't end up blocking him. And yeah, you can see Bond right there, number 56, wide of him. But this is some of the amazing skill set that you hear about Rashawn Slater, is his ability to get to these second level defenders, these linebackers, and locate them. And right here, this is one of the more impressive type of blocks. We're going to see a couple against Ohio State that are just incredibly good. Because right here, look, he's the backside tackle. If you look here, number 57 has inside shade on him. It's on that inside shoulder. So from an angle standpoint, yes, Rashawn Slater's uncovered. He doesn't have to worry about the backside pursuit defender in Zach Bond. But from an athletic standpoint, he shouldn't be able to climb and cut this angle off against the linebacker. But he does. He subtly, a little bit, chips the 2-tech right here. Guy kicks in a 2-tech right before the snap. Just gives him a little push on the behind. Gets to 57. Gets his hat across his shoulder, which is important because you don't want to take a clipping penalty. But gets a hat across the face towards the end, kind of, you could say. And then just falls on top of him and drives him to the ground. But look at that athletic ability to get there, cut that angle off. And that's nothing compared to the next clip that you're probably going to see right here. The baseball slide clip. This is a very, very common one that you may see on Twitter sometimes. It's a beautiful pass rushing move right there from 67, or just a move to disengage, even though this is a run. But look at Rashawn Slater. Again, number 39 is over the top, about directly over the top of him, I think you could say. Maybe slight inside shade. Slater's like, I got to get there. And he does exactly that. 39 sees the hole developing, he sees the blocks developing, and he knows he has to beat Rashawn Slater to that set point, but he can't. And Slater, just the way he moves, the way he bends, the way he finishes this block, the way he gets his inside hand inside on the chest of number 39 and controls him to the ground as 39 slides. I mean, offensive tackles don't move like this. And I know a lot of people aren't talking about Rashawn Slater as an elite type of tackle sometimes, at least earlier in the process they weren't, because you had Penei Sewell. But Penei Sewell, his upside, his athletic ability, and his size, that's rare, man. That is very, very rare. That is very, very unique. And these kind of movement skills, they're unique as well. They really are. To be able to climb like this, locate, and just drive to the ground. That's great stuff right there from Rashawn Slater. Here's another clip against Ohio State. Getting to the second level and just locating. Looks like a split zone look right here. You have the H-back capping the unblocked end man on the line of scrimmage in number 8. So it's on Rashawn Slater. Since he's uncovered, he doesn't have to worry about 36. It's on Rashawn Slater to pick up number 19 and not allow him to affect this run. And he does that. Rashawn Slater blocks down the line of scrimmage, doesn't have somebody on the line of scrimmage since the closest guy on the line of scrimmage is a one technique in number 52. So he just goes play side, gets the number 19, locates, and rises his center of gravity and gently just puts him on the deck, which you love to see. Slater's going to dominate somebody of this build, number 19. Gets that hand right there. Great placement of the hand. Has control of the chest as well. Lateral strength isn't quite there for number 19 against somebody like Rashawn Slater, so Slater just drops him. This is a very impressive block by Rashawn Slater over here on the left side of your screen. It's a pin pull type of concept, only the center will step play side to locate this defender, seal him off so the backside guard can kind of pull through the hole. But the problem is there's a 3 technique over the backside guard. Rashawn Slater, that's his responsibility. And that's a very difficult block here because Rashawn Slater has to prevent this 3 technique from crossing the face and filling wherever the desired hole is. It's very hard for a tackle to have the movement skills and the ability to kind of get his hands where it needs to be without clipping or causing some sort of penalty here. But Rashawn Slater has the movement ability. And watch just how balanced he is, how fluid he is in moving, locating this block. And he basically beats the backside guard to where he needs to go, and he just allows the momentum of the defender to ride right past the hole so number 25 can kind of cut right back into it. He uses the momentum of the defender against him. This is smart. This is savvy. This is mental processing right here. He gets that outside arm on the small of the back, inside arm on the chest, and just rides through. Eliminates this defender from the play. That's a difficult block to make. You need to be really, really athletic. You need to be really smart. You need to really understand angles. You need to really understand how to not commit a penalty. Rashawn Slater does that on that play. And then here, this is just ridiculous positioning right here. Again, number 39, second level defender, the Ohio State Buckeyes, is inside of Rashawn Slater. This is a wide split, by the way. Inside of him. We have a shotgun pistol. Well, I should just say pistol type of look. Would make much more sense. And watch just how fast he runs to cut this angle off. And not only does he cut the angle off, get that inside arm on the chest, the outside arm on the side, but then he has the wherewithal and the ability to turn and allow that running back a rushing alley right there. That's just insane positioning right there. That's textbook. I don't understand how offensive tackles can have this type of movement ability and that type of ability to seal a defender who is trying to scrape over the top, a defender who has momentum, somebody who should be so much faster, somebody who probably is 40, 50 pounds less than Rashawn Slater. But Slater gets there with athleticism and then turns his hips, flips his hips, and then just eliminates number 39 from the play. That is an insane block right there. It's not against Chase Young, but that's an insane block. Now here we're going to see another pin pull concept only it's the center who's going to be the puller, and the pinner is Rashawn Slater right here. So all he's tasked to do, you have this 4 technique right here, just directly over the top of him. You can say 4-eye because it's shaded inside a little bit. The play side guard's going to pin. Both the H-back and Rashawn Slater are going to pin. And that center is going to pull. Rashawn Slater does his job here. Now he allows the 4-eye tech to get that arm inside, use a long arm. To the defender's credit, he's playing with really good leverage, wide base. Does not allow himself to get bullied around. But Slater, all he has to do here is position himself in the way of this defender. Allow those blockers to go over the top unscathed. And it's a solid gain here. Luckily for number 25, he makes that defender miss, that forced defender. It's just a terrible tackle attempt. You can never allow a running back outside of you like that. But Slater gets his job done. Doesn't look overly pretty, doesn't necessarily have to, just has to seal off that angle and not allow that defender to get upfield push there. And he does exactly that. Now this next play, this is an RPO action. This is a really nice deuce combo block right here from Rashawn Slater. So this is an RPO, so Rashawn Slater doesn't know if he's going to have to run block or going to have to pass block. So usually offensive linemen are taught on RPOs that they're going to run block. Now, the quarterback doesn't hand the football off here, but it very well looks like he could have, because look at that hole right there, thanks to the initial block from Rashawn Slater, and then the second engagement block on the scraping linebacker. Now, obviously, Slater's feet are entirely too close together here, but he resets really quickly upon initial contact, engages that power, drives. Now, it looks like if the quarterback did hand the football off here, number 25 would have had number 3 to beat, who was kind of coming downhill in the alley. But it still ends up being a completed pass. But I just love the power block on this 3 technique to allow number 66 to basically get easy half-man win to the outside where the hole was going to be. And then the engagement on that scraping linebacker over the top. I mean, that's all set up from Rashawn Slater right there. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then ends up throwing the football, but still set up well. Now we have another pin pull concept to the outside. Now Rashawn Slater is going to be the puller here. And you're going to have the tight end blocking down as the pinner. There's a lot of defenders that are in the way here. But you can see the movement skills from Rashawn Slater. This isn't necessarily a dynamic block. He puts a defensive back on his behind, on his rear end. Not necessarily a successful run. But look at the athletic ability, the balance, and the movement skills. Locates his target, ends up putting him down. But there's a lot of pursuit defenders. Alrighty, now we're going to get into some negatives right here. There's not a lot of glaring negatives with Rashawn Slater. There's some mishaps. There's some reps that he's lost, I think you can say. But I wouldn't say that these are necessarily huge negatives about his game. I think he's a pretty clean prospect. Like I said, there's some things that he doesn't have elite level at, strength, for instance, but that's not a referendum on him. That's not supposed to be a knock on him. It's just that there are some offensive linemen who have incredible amounts of power and play strength, whereas Rashawn Slater is more of a technician, a little bit more of a finesse type of tackle, somebody who's going to be excellent climbing to the second level, executing those angles, knows how to use his hands, knows how to fit his hands, has excellent grip strength, all those things. But here's some. Now, we have him to the right side, right here. That's where Rashawn Slater is. This is going to be another pin pull concept right here. And I got to say, the defensive lineman reads this fantastically. Now, if you look at this front side guard right here, look, light on the hand, as you can see. He's actually off the line of scrimmage a little bit more. That's usually a telltale sign that he's going to be pulling a little bit. It's something that defenders, a lot of savvy defenders, the sage defenders, if you will, they will read the alignments of these offensive linemen, and when they're off the line of scrimmage a little bit light on their hands, they're setting up themselves and kind of cheating a little bit to be pulling. And you can kind of see it right here with this guard. And that kind of tips off to this defensive lineman that very well might be happening. And you can see how Rashawn Slater here kind of gets beat. Number 92 just initially steps inside, knows there's going to be a void there. The center's climbing to the second level, because that's just purely Rashawn Slater's responsibility at this point to pin number 92. And if you look at Slater's footwork here, now again, this is a great read by number 92. But he doesn't get that inside foot planted. He's not crossing the face. He kind of hesitates. He realizes he's beat, and he underestimated number 92's ability to anticipate what the play might be. He needs to get that hat across the face of the defender, present that shield for the ball carrier, and he doesn't here. And I don't think this is something that's consistent with his film, but I want to point out some of the negative plays, because everything's not all hunky-dory all the time with these prospects coming to the league. It's going to be struggles transitioning to the NFL, and we should show some negative college tape. And here he just gets beat inside and doesn't position himself overly well on this pinpull concept. And then it just ends up being a loss. Now here we see Slater, left side of your screen, going up against Zach Bond. And this is just a bad set choice right here. He just does not get to the depth that he needs to. He tries to short set a wide rusher, somebody who's as talented as Zach Bond, and it's just a misread on Slater, and you can see he doesn't get to the depth. All the stuff we were applauding him for in the earlier clips, he doesn't do here. He should be either taking a vertical set here, getting that foot back this way, keeping himself square until he has to turn, or getting more depth out here in a quicker manner, and he doesn't do either. And that's a problem. And Bond easily gets to that outside shoulder, uses his back to shield, and beats Slater up the arc. And I know the pocket's moving a little bit to the right and away from Rashawn Slater. You don't want to give up any kind of inside moves there, because you're not going to have inside help, more than likely, depending on what the 3 technique does. But he just allowed himself to get beat by a very, very good athlete, a good pass rusher as well. It's not the best of reps, and it ends up being really, really bad for the Northwestern offense because it was intercepted. And here we see him on the left side. I feel like he anticipates what this defensive lineman is going to do, what this 6 technique right here is going to do. Or 7 technique, I should say, because he's in between. And he just kind of falls forward. I think he's expecting, and he gets a little lazy here, he's expecting this defender to fire into him, and he's just going to use his weight to stalemate him. But instead, gets a little lazy here, lunges, something I did not see a lot on his tape, but he just lunges at the waist, anticipates the contact, wasn't patient like he usually is. So you got to even work on the finer things that you're typically good at. You need to make sure that you're good at down in and down out. And for the most part, Rashawn Slater was. But there were plays like this where, look, he didn't stick with his fundamentals. His center of gravity wasn't overly low. It's just a lazy rep. Doesn't get his hands inside, doesn't dictate the rep, just tries to fall into the contact. Good on the defender to kind of read the situation and realize that he may have the upper hand here. Need to be better than that. It's just a lazy, lazy play right there. And here we have him again. Left side. It's going to be another pin pull concept. And right here, he's just a little bit too high. Center of gravity gets too high. Something I haven't seen a whole lot with this film. There's just not a lot of authority in this pin right here. That backside guard, you can see again, light on the hand, off the line of scrimmage, telltale sign. Stanford Cardinal defender fires hard into the inside shoulder of Rashawn Slater there. And Slater's balance, center of gravity, way too high. No authority in this block right here. Pin pull concepts, I mean, there's something that we see a lot with the New York Giants. Absolutely. And there's plenty of tape where Rashawn Slater executes this well, but he has to be a little bit more consistent with this and not allow these types of plays to happen, which is, again, to be fair, I haven't seen it all that much. But you can't have a Pac-12 defensive lineman who's not going to get drafted do this type of stuff. Fully turns him. You never want to see somebody's waistband facing the end zone, like I said earlier. You never want to see that. So you got to be sharper here. You got to fire off low. You got to uncoil your hips. You got to engage your core, engage your lower body. Not just catch, but drive as well. Even on these pin pulls, you're acting as a shield, but if that shield is moving with more force than you are, then You're going to be in the lap of your running back, and that's not something that anybody needs on the offense. Now here, it's on the right side, going up against talented edge rusher, Ohio State, Javonte Jean-Baptiste. This isn't necessarily a terrible rep, but he doesn't bully Jean-Baptiste off the line of scrimmage here. He kind of gets locked out a little bit. You see these drills all the time at the Senior Bowl, the lockout drills. They're unsexy. They're not as cool as the pass rushing drills, but you want to limit the space if you're an offensive player. You do not want that defensive player to be able to lock you out and then play the peekaboo games and look around you and then react and shed your block. Right here, Slater comes up like we liked before, tries to raise that center of gravity, does so a little bit, but Jean-Baptiste gets those hands inside, locks out, and Slater can't really bully him off the edge. So Jean-Baptiste stays in his spot. Not a terrible rep, not his worst rep, but kind of goes to show that mauling type of power that I was talking about that's not elite, it does show up sometimes on plays like this. Doesn't mean that he's weak. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a hindrance to his NFL career. Doesn't mean any of those things. It's just not elite. I'm talking about elite level stuff. So please, hear that out. All right, now I'm going to play every one of Chase Young's plays. We're just going to go through it until the end. This is every snap, Week 8, 2019 of Rashawn Slater against Chase Young. Now, you saw some of these already because they were either excellent or they were or negative plays, I guess you could say. But here we are. We're just going to run right through them real quick. Here we see Chase Young, left side, lock out Rashawn Slater. You see Slater's really trying to uncoil those hips through the block. Chase Young is one of the best edge rushers to come out in recent memory. He's able to sink his center of gravity, play with a wide base, and raise Rashawn Slater a little bit. But it's not like he's totally dominating right here. Slater locks him up. Slater doesn't allow him to disengage, and that's really good on Rashawn Slater's part. Here we see him on the left side again. This play we already went over. This is the first play we went over. Just an excellent rep. Love that grip strength. There's a rep to encapsulate what you want to see from Rashawn Slater. This might be it against a player like Chase Young. It's great stuff. Here's another pass out of quick game right here. Now Chase Young gets right inside of Rashawn Slater and drives him back. But Slater, to his credit, is able to hold, which is what he's doing, because he basically hugs Chase Young's inside shoulder a little bit, does just enough, doesn't grab cloth, but is subtle enough to where it's not going to get called, but you could just see the raw power in a player like Chase Young here, able to kind of put Rashawn Slater on skates. Luckily, it was a quick game, and there wasn't all that much time for Chase Young to do anything. Here we see on the left side again. Slater gets out to him quickly here. Jump sets him, attacks with that outside arm, gets it inside. And I just love how you could see Chase Young trying to work his own hands to get rid of Rashawn Slater's hands, and you can see this all throughout his film, and he just can't. Slater's grip strength is so good and it's superior as well. Then you just see the movement skills, the ability to get in front and mirror and adjust. Love to see it. Left side again. This one, it's a little game. Chase Young goes inside. Slater gets his inside arm on the breastplate, just holds and then rides to help. See the red circle? Takes a quick vertical set real quick. And just puts Chase Young down. I believe we went over this play before as well. Now on the left side, Chase Young's able to lock out again. You see him using all of the length that he has, wide base, setting the edge against Rashawn Slater. But you can see Rashawn Slater using his own strength to lift Chase Young, which says something with the technique of going up and under to raise the center of gravity. And he doesn't allow the disengagement, which is important. On this play, looks like Slater was going to leave Chase Young as the unblocked end man on the line of scrimmage for the split action to pick up. But the way Ohio State played this play is they all crashed down, which created a new end man on the line of scrimmage when 39 kind of filled. So Rashawn Slater, who was trying to climb to the linebacker, had to end up taking Chase Young here. Chase Young ended up making the play. You could blame Rashawn Slater for this, but it looks like it was more of an offense or great play by the defense that led to offensive miscues. Here, left side again. You have some help there, which we saw on this film. Tight end helps a little bit, just to not give the impression that Chase Young can win up the arc quickly off the snap, because there is help there. Slater, again, using that outside arm grip strength, that stab, to keep him square and not allow him to reduce his own surface area, because once you control his chest, you're just basically cutting him in half. Good play by Rashawn Slater there as well. And here's just a quick pass off, stunt loop. Looks at Pete Warner. Looks like he's about to come, but ball's out of his hands, doesn't even end up coming on the blitz. Chase Young here. Quick, nothing really to write home about. Left side again. Slater does a good job here, turning and getting Chase Young away from where the running was. Obviously, Chase Young kind of ends up setting this edge, keeps the rushing lane very, very narrow, so his linebacker can kind of fill against that play side guard, not allow there to be a big hole there. But Slater removes Chase Young's ability to attack within that gap as well, within that B gap. But he definitely fills Chase Young, that is, his responsibility of taking away the C gap. Backside, you can see what happens. Kind of gets cut off by the video here. A lot of the reps are just like that. Ties him up right here. Chase Young goes for that double stab right there. Tries to use Rashawn Slater's momentum against him by pulling, as you can see right here. Tries to pull him down to the ground right there. Common move, just a push-pull move. Slater has enough core strength and control of himself to not allow his momentum to get pulled all the way forward. And then he just, what does he do? Keeps that hand where it needs to be. Right on the inside. Just something you love to see. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Rashawn Slater review. I hope you guys enjoyed this first YouTube breakdown that I've done. To be honest, it's really exciting. I would like to put a lot more of these together. Please, everybody, support us. Support Dan and I as we continue to put content out here on the Big Blue Banter podcast. And by supporting us, you can hit the subscribe button to subscribe to this YouTube channel, because we'll be dropping more and more YouTube content for everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please head on over to Instagram and follow NY Big Blue Banter. That's NY Big Blue Banter on Instagram. Sean does a great job over there, keeping everybody up to date with some of the more current Giants news. And also, please head to iTunes and leave us a review if you have not yet. Just go there, leave us a 5-star review. Tell us what you love or what you hate about this podcast, what you love or what you hate about me. That will be a lot of fun. But please, just have it be a 5-star review. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this. And let's go Giants.